Welcome Trash Pandas to my third Bloomburrow Precon review and upgrade guide, and this time it's Animated Army, a third game of the night brain on autopilot crash and smash build that basically involves throwing animated pianos at people, and supports this plan with over 20 ways of ramping ahead of our opponents or just plain cheating out permanents, and thankfully has a land base that realises having untapped mana is vital to how quickly you need to get this aggro plan off the ground. Upgrading this deck is pretty simple because the problems with it are glaringly obvious. I played Bellow yesterday and it doesn't matter how big my army of real boy artifacts and enchantments are, they don't have trample, so they keep getting blocked by squirrels and 1/1 offspring and bunnies. And the fact that your whole board state goes away when you move to somebody else's turn because Bellow tucks them all up for night means that your life total, well, it's open season. And as we all know, there's one thing that Commander players love more than anything. It's an easy decision about where to swing their stuff. Thankfully, the cuts are really easy to make in this deck because there's a lot of sore thumbs that do not support our game plan, and finding the replacements for those is as simple as a Scryfall search into enchantments and artifacts with mana value 4 or more that leave us blockers like a Seeker's Chariot, which is already in the Precon, or gift us evasion. When to cast Bellow is probably the biggest decision that you will have to make, and it's probably not on turn 3. We want to ramp really hard and then we want to throw down all of our trinkets. Bellow is also really squishy. You could lean into lots of protection, but it's not really in the spirit of this smash and bash Precon. However, Cauldron of Souls sits at this intersection of smash and coddle. Sometimes it's a hasty indestructible card drawing 4/4, sometimes it's tapping to give Bellow and your animated army persist. To recap a real life play, having Warstorm Surge enter as a creature because of Bellow and trigger itself is the weird magic I am here for. Turning both your animated Berserker's Onslaught and Unnatural Growth sideways, making them 8/8 double strikers, is the grueliest play in all of Grueltown, so evasion is a must. I suggest adding cards like Gruul Warplow and Street Riot that give trample, a Chrome's Memorial that gives flying, and Gimli's Reckless Might with a fight-based attack trigger to clear a path. I also added Cactus Folk Sure Shot, powerful creatures gain haste and trample, and already in the Precon we have Garruk's Uprising and Goreclaw, so we have more and more ways to get creatures through. But who's holding down the fort on opponents' turns? We need two things. We need removal and we need blockers. The deck comes with Beast Within, Chaos Warp and a Spine of Ishtar, and a card which does both, Rolling Hampsphere, the Bloomburrow in-universe version of that Critter's Ball from that Critter's movie, which attacks, creates hamsters and deals damage. I wouldn't cut this if you paid me. I added Erratic Portal. Its omnipresent taxing effect, keep up mana or lose a creature, is coupled with it being a mana value 4 artifact beta. I also added the big scores Territory Forge, 5 mana value, exiles an artifact or land and gains its activated abilities. Here is the absolute best upgrade for this deck, threefold Thunderhulk. Bellow doesn't state non-creature, so this artifact will be a 4/4 with 3+1/+1 counters and create 7 gnome artifact tokens on enters, and then as Bellow gives it haste, it will create 7 more. That's 14 tokens, my friends, 14. I didn't add Coat of Arms, but now I want to. Other token makers that fit the theme, Thunderhawk Gunship vehicles work interestingly with Bellow. They no longer need to be crewed on our turn if they are mana value 4 or up. Thunderhawk enters with 2 friends and provides the flying evasion we need. It's also why I added Sky Sovereign Console Flagship. Dealing 3 on enters and attack is deadly on a flyer with haste and indestructible courtesy of Bellow. The cherry on top, you can crew these on other people's turns for those much needed blockers. Prototype also works uniquely in Bellow. Cast these artifacts for their prototype cost and they're still 4/4s on our turn. You usually pay 9 for a 4/4 Skitterbeam Battalion, now pay 5, and Bellow honours the 4/4, and token copies of something copy their mana value, so that's 2 more 4/4 Trample Haste constructs with added Bellow indestructible on our turn and 2/2 hangback blockers on theirs. Finally, Court of Embereth can be animated. It's Monarch-based card draw, which creates knights and deals damage with them. My last suggestion is Chimil the Inner Sun. Shut down counterspells, which in high mana value decks can be a complete blowout, and discover 5 on your end step. But with swaps come cuts. Brightcap Badger was a swap out for more efficient token bodies. I like this card in a Sapperling and Fungus focused deck, but at 4 mana value, that's not the ramp we are looking for. Decimate needs all 4 targets, it's actually more useful against us. Domri is too squishy in a deck that needs blockers to defend him. Wild Seer is a cool design, keep it if you're going to do Bellow enchantments, otherwise you're not going to get value out of it in a mixed artifact enchantment build. Etali, Gauta, Rampaging Balofs. Gauta's there because of the high power of our artifacts and enchantments, but whip that out and build yourself a monstrous mono green build. We can do better. Etali turns up to the opening of every Precon launch, so get a job, dude. And a case could be made for Rampaging Balofs. Their bodies to block with Warmstorm Surge synergy, but like the Lotus Cobra I took out, landfall decks love them. This is not that deck. Pious White Hawk isn't terrible. Flying wins games. The power boost, the steal. The deck just needed more bellow targets, so it got the boot. Finally, Grumgully and Teapot Slinger's abilities are so tiny compared to the big things we want to do in this deck. It's Gruul, go big, no minuscule counter or damage needed. And Growth Armor is one of my favourite designs in Magic. I'm currently building him, and there's a really cool synergy in our deck with it, where if you attack with 2 4/4s to kill him, you'll get to draw 8, and our 4/4s are indestructible, so they survive fighting Growth Armor. Actually, right, I'm putting it back in. Chimel, do one. Growth Armor is way more fun. The headline is, this is quite a lot of fun. It's joyful, dumb fun, and out of the 4 Precons, I would say, especially compared to the more nuanced, complicated piloting of Peace Offering, which is my favourite out of the 4, this is the one I would give to a new player. And it's also the one I would give to somebody who wants to do something different with artifacts and enchantments, or wants to create a showcase for the enchantments and artifacts that they've got lying around in their binder. Or I give it to that person who just doesn't want to spin the plates of multiple triggers and decisions. It's that simple. Brain off, loads of fun. Definitely the one to explore if you just want to get in there and smash face. Next up, the final review of the Bloomburrow Precon, squirreled away in the imaginatively titled video, Nut or What. We're also going to be putting my money where my mouth is and having a episode of my gameplay series, MTG Spectacular. This will be episode number 6, where we're going to play these Precons upgraded in the way that I have suggested. So if that sounds like fun to you and you would like to see that, then you would like to subscribe, I am sure. In fact, if you enjoyed this humble free content today, a like and subscribe would mean the world to me. I'm off now to wrestle my nuts back from Chatterfang, and until then, I have been Lee, and this has been MTG Specs.